Okay, I just recorded this with a different recording software and it didn't work. So we're gonna go through this. Well, I guess I'm gonna go through this again. Um, this won't take super long. I think you guys kind of get the hang of it. Most short stories are pretty straightforward and to the point. I mean, like folk tales, I mean. So I'm gonna just go through it really quick. You won't really see me very much, but I'm hoping since I turned the computer, you'll be able to hear me better. But you should be able to see what I'm doing on the smart board here. So before we go on, let's just put the name of the story down. So we've got The Wise Old Woman by Yoshiko Uchida. I know I didn't write that down on the plot diagram. It doesn't say to do that, but I may ask at some point on a test or something. So it's good to have the author's name. Setting, we don't really know for sure. It doesn't give us a time period. So we can just kind of assume maybe ancient Japan. Couple different conflicts, right? There's usually one big conflict and also some other small ones.
Lunch is being served at this time in the cafeteria. Again, lunch is being served at this time in the cafeteria. Thank you.
So usually there's one big one and then a couple smaller ones. So, or we could just go in order. The first conflict is that the young lord basically banishes, I guess, old people to die, right, in the woods. If you're 71, I would put so old 71 plus. If you're 71 or older, you need to go be left out in the woods by your family and die because you can't work, you can't do anything. You're too old to be valuable to society. Another conflict is that the young farmer, he's gonna hide his mom. So just being able to keep her a secret is a conflict. And then we have Lord Higa wants to conquer the village. So those are kind of our main conflicts. Characters, we can put 4 characters, maybe a 5th one if we want to count the wise men council. So character 1, young farmer. He doesn't have a name. His name is young farmer. And then we've got farmer's mom, young lord, and then we have Lord Higa. We can also put, like I said, wise men, but they weren't super wise because they didn't know anything. So sometimes if we're not sure what exactly are all parts of the rising action, what we can do is come up with what we think the climax is and then work backwards. So this isn't a super action-packed short story, right? It's not crazy exciting or anything like that. A lot of my stories that I pick, they're exciting, but in different ways, or they're just interesting. But I would say the peak of the action, or like the kind of the apex of the story would be when he confesses, right? When the Lord tells, or when the young farmer tells the Lord that he's been hiding his mother. His mother is the person that's wise, right? So young Lord confesses about his mom. And I personally think that that's the climax because everything afterward is kind of on a downhill, it's not really a climb if it's downhill, right? But a downhill walk to resolution or the happy ending. So that's what is our climax, what's leading up to that. So the exposition, we get information about the village, this young lord. So we can just start out with young lord banishes all 71 plus people, year old. And that's also one of our conflicts, but we'll just start off there. There isn't a lot of exposition. It gets right into it where it says like once upon a time there was a happy village, but then this young lord comes along and says old people are nasty, goodbye. Right? So the young lord banishes all of those people, but then what does our main character do? He hides his mother. He can't do it. So young lord hides mom. And then the next kind of problem, we can kind of combine this all together. But so we've got Lord Higa. Higa makes demands, right? He says you need to be able to basically solve all of these riddles. That's basically what they are. They're like physical manifestations of a riddle, or I will take over your village. The wise people can't solve it, but mother can. So mother helps son solve tasks. So, and then of course we know he solves all three and gets money, and then the Lord is finally like, how are you so much wiser than all these other guys? He confesses, it's actually, I've been hiding my mom. And then the Lord finally realizes, oh, old people actually do have value. They're not just old and gross and can't work. We should actually see what they know. They actually have things to offer, even if it's not what we would normally expect someone who's like a member of society to do, right? So people still have value even if they can't perform certain tasks. So the young Lord realizes that. So Lord takes back the law, and then it doesn't have to always be 3 in a row, but I'm just trying to remember what I wrote on the last one. Lord takes back the law, and then oh yeah, and then just everyone is happy, smiley face. So then we've got theme. I would say there are probably 2 major themes here. I talked about it a little bit in the discussion video when we read the story, but of course, if we can't figure out what the theme or the idea is, we can come up with what the message is and then extract the idea. So if one of the messages that we talked about was old people are valuable for things like wisdom, then we could say wisdom is a theme, right? Wisdom is an idea. And then another theme is, how should we treat our elders? We should respect them, right? That's the message that it's trying to tell us, is that, again, even though the elderly can't perform certain tasks that young people can, they're still valued and should be respected as people. So then I would say respect is the other theme. Of course, you may come up with others, but those are the 2 that I personally think fit well with the story. So this is what you should have. Remember that at the end of the unit, you will turn this in for completion points. We read 5 stories, unless for some reason I do go down with COVID or get really sick and you have to have a sub for a few days, then you'll read another story. But you'll turn this in and it's worth about 50 points, I think. So make sure you're filling this out as we go. I'm hoping to have you guys tune in to a Google Meet at some point and do like a live class. But with how it works, with me playing sound out of my speakers and then going through my computer to you guys, sound quality isn't very good. So I'm hoping that you're still able to do this at home with the other audio links. And eventually, I'm hoping that we can get a better system. But for now, make sure you're checking Google Classroom and have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.